So as I was saying in my weekly introduction, I'm going to be taking a little more of a cultural perspective on things. And the first person I'm going to talk about is a guy who does this with his own Catholic worldview. And that is Bishop Robert Barron. I'm going to tell you why I like tuning into his channel, despite the fact that I'm neither a Catholic or even a Christian for that matter. I'm also going to tell you why engaging with ideas that are fundamentally contrary to your own is immensely valuable. And finally, what has all this to do with the law of attraction and manifestation? Let's get right into it. Good morning, peeps. Thanks for popping by. I'm Derek London. Pour up a fresh cup of joe and settle in while we discuss everything law of attraction. We got pithy thoughts, FAQs, quotes, book reviews, everything you need to get the day started off feeling in control. Don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, and bell notification buttons below. Let's get right into it, shall we? Hey guys, so Bishop Barron. If you're unfamiliar with him, he's an American prelate of the Catholic Church serving as auxiliary bishop of the Archdiocese of Los Angeles, according to Wikipedia. He's the founder of the Catholic ministerial organization Word on Fire. His YouTube channel has over 200,000 subscribers and has earned him the nickname Bishop of Social Media or Bishop of the Internet. And his channel's goal, I suppose, at least as far as I can tell, is to offer a Christian, more specifically a Catholic perspective on our culture, finding happiness and philosophy. As I mentioned at the outset, I'm not a Catholic. I'm not even a Christian, despite being raised as one. I like Christianity for many reasons. It's my personal belief that we owe more to Christianity philosophically, economically, politically, and even spiritually than we might be comfortable to admit. Here's where I stand on Christianity in a nutshell. There's almost no aspect of modern life that hasn't been either directly or peripherally influenced by its teachings. And I mean that even when it comes to certain assumptions we accept as just blatant truths, such as the idea of basic human rights detailed in the Universal Charter. And so I am an apologist for Christianity, despite not presently accepting certain of its fundamental truth claims. For example, I accept that you can make an almost bulletproof case historically for the existence of Jesus and even his resurrection. Gary Habermas, John Lennox, and William Lane Craig do this quite effectively. I believe the Bible and other ancient texts fundamentally got it right when speaking of the Logos, or the Word. I also believe that an eternal and uncreated God is the most intellectually sound of all proximate first cause explanations, although I'd rather just redefine God as mind or being, not necessarily Yahweh. But I'd be lying if I didn't acknowledge that this is inescapably a Judeo-Christian assumption. And so I'm not a believer in Christ, despite the strong historical case that can be made for him and the resurrection. But I'm open-minded to it. Now let's bring in Bishop Barron. He has stated that while Christians should be careful about spreading a message or even an attitude of Christian triumphalism or supremacy, he has expressed that a life without Christ or not in Christ is an impoverished one to some degree. It's incomplete. Well, I disagree with that. I have lived as a Christian and can tell you that I personally don't see anything more implicitly transcendent in that way of living than other ways which don't include a fundamental belief in Christ. Worded a little more crassly, we have irreconcilable worldviews, at least as it stands at the moment. If you want to be a Christian or identify as one, certainly in any denominational sense, you kind of have to accept the resurrection as a historical fact. So then why do I watch Bishop Barron? How can a meaningful discussion ensue when we're juxtaposed from the first premise? I'll tell you. In order for logic and reason to do its thing, you have to start somewhere. You have to find some bottom assumption from which to build. Well, how do you do that when virtually anything and everything is debatable? You have to start somewhere. Now, that doesn't have to be Christianity. But let's say we start with the first assumptions of manifestation and the law of attraction, or mind, or cosmic consciousness, things that I can get down with. Well, you're still in the same position. Realize that the moment the first chess piece is set into motion, the range of all possible games will be fewer and fewer, until it ends in check or stalemate. And so there are a number of very profound and life-changing thoughts that can only be realized once you have set the first piece in motion. This is why the Bible, for example, from a philosophical perspective, setting aside for now its true authorship, divine or otherwise, is infinitely deep and offers incredible insight. But you have to enter the conversation with the attitude of, okay, assuming what you say is true, what follows? Here's another example. Understand that simply by changing the values or operations of 2 plus equals and 5, you can make 2 plus 2 equal 5. But until you have set the values and operations, it doesn't do anything. You can't even get 4 from it. And by defining them the way we traditionally have, with the help of first-order logic, I suppose, you can get Einstein's entire theory of special relativity. Is Einstein's theory of relativity only accessible through one number system? Of course not. But don't let's minimize that it did in fact emerge through the number system that it did. Well, that's how I see Christianity, and that's how I approach Robert Barron. I think he's a thoughtful and valuable voice to have in the public square. No, I don't accept everything he says, just like he'd probably not accept everything I say. But he does meet us halfway. For example, he talks about what's happening in the culture, even does movie reviews from time to time. He even did one on the John Wick films. I can only imagine what his more conservative audience thought about that. And good for him. It's not selling out, ear-tickling, or watering down his message. If he truly believes his Catholicism is relevant, then what area of life wouldn't it touch? Why shouldn't he comment on anything and everything? Okay, now finally, what does all this have to do with the law of attraction? Well, here it is. If you accept that the law of attraction is fundamentally a message of free will, then the conclusions which follow that, worded something like, all things are 100% equally present at all places at the same time, even Christianity, then on the higher end of abstraction, you can still get to the law of attraction through his message or anyone else's. It can be accessed through ancient Buddhist and Hinduist beliefs, or through Christianity and Islam. In fact, I would argue that the law of attraction grew out of all those religious traditions. There are more than just a few echoes of it in our ancient religions. I actually intend to do some videos on this in the future. The Bible, for instance, is loaded with much of the same philosophy you see in manifestation. I think a good deal of it originated there. If you can kind of humor his Catholicism, tune into Robert Barron, follow him down his rabbit holes, and you'll find far more agreement with him than disagreement. The utility of critical thinking is not something that's intrinsically nested in doubt and skepticism, but rather far more through a process of discovering merit. I discussed this sort of thing in my video called Suspending Your Disbelief. It'll be linked below and in the end screen. Anyway, tell me in the comments below what you think of all that, and if you follow Bishop Robert Barron, tell me what you think of him too. This is Derek London. We'll see you tomorrow, guys. Hey guys, did you like this video? You know what to do. And if something I mentioned today resonated with you, click one of them cards on this screen. I have lots of related content sure to interest you. Thanks as always for your views, and we'll see you next time.